want you to hate yourself from the top of your
Go down to the description box right now to hear more Malcolm, Les Martin, my man Riz featuring Conway the Machine in its entirety in the description box right now, exclusively on iTunes. Don't wait, hit the button right now. Let's go.
Towards the end,
Yeah.
putting up the post pretty much saying that if you look at, his track record through movies, music, just what he's done, in music, nobody can really compare, except for probably Tupac. Somebody came at him and said Jay-Z, and then he kind of refuted that as well.
Yeah.
So kind of flexing his muscle online, and we talked about that, and it kind of led to another, conversation as far as the Biggie. How come nobody ever says who's the next Biggie? You know what I mean? So we wanted to talk about that tonight and see who is, if anybody is the heir apparent to Biggie, because we both agreed, just talking that we agree that Biggie is better than Pac lyrically.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Sam, man.
I mean, before we even get to who's the next Biggie, let me ask the people in the comment section a question real quick, the people in the building. Is Biggie underappreciated? Now, I say that because obviously we just had Biggie Day, the March 9th, the day that he passed away, which was real weird to me how we ordained that Biggie Day. And I think a couple people were outspoken about that. Like, the day of his death can't be Biggie Day. It should be the day of his life. And why are we perpetuating this such a sad day in hip hop? We shouldn't, celebrate life, but I don't know about Biggie Day. That seemed kind of weird to me. Right. Nonetheless, when you go back and you think about the catalogs, man, I was listening to Biggie today and I'm like, damn, you hear people saying I'm the next Pac. And not that we don't have absolute the utmost respect for Tupac for what he did for the culture, what he did outside of the booth, with the revolution that he really created out here for himself. But when it just comes to rap, and when it comes to the conversation of Biggie and Tupac, because you can't talk without one without thinking about the other.
Right.
It just makes me think, damn, in 2019, if these kids knew what Biggie was really about, God damn. Biggie was a storyteller. Like, you could write a movie off of some of Biggie's songs, man. So I think he was kind of underappreciated. I think I seen somebody say overrated. You know what? Drop me one. Let's do this. One, if Biggie was overrated. Two, if Biggie was underrated. One, overrated. Two, underrated for Biggie Smalls right now. I want to see what the people was thinking.
Right.
I think he's underrated, underappreciated right now, because dude was an animal.
You think just compared to the, I would say that now. I think the more time that goes, it kind of seems like he's kind of fading more and more away, and Pac, remains more alive, but yeah, definitely, man, I agree. I think Biggie was one of the best, even in a short time in the game, even right now, the way he did it, told a story, the way his lyrics were, there's no really comparison, to him, even now. I think, who can you say, who can rock how Biggie rocked right now, just the what he embodied.
I seen Kendrick can tell a great story too, but it was fucking Biggie's voice. It was the whole fucking body of work. When he came into Day's Agenda, got the suitcase up in the central, like, damn, like, you already knew that he was about to paint a picture and put you on a ride. It was like, man, when you finish that song, like, woo. Yeah. And the way he narrated it was genius.
I saw somebody who put something in the comment. They said Biggie's album stood the test of time. His album, like, we listened to it earlier. You put it in and it's just like, right now it's like, so it's just like, not every album, not every rapper could do that. Kendrick, obviously, I could say that I slept on Kendrick. You know what I mean? Right now, Kendrick's a genius. I just go ahead and put it out there. But I don't know if you could compare those two. Like you said, the voice, the feel. I think Biggie, if he was alive, man, I think the sky was definitely going to be the limit. I think he would have probably been the best ever.
Hold that thought real quick, because Ontario, Canada said something very, very great, and I want to bring this to attention. You got to. Biggie had no conscious lyrics. Tupac was revolutionary. I agree 100%. Now, I had a point in my life where I had to kind of get off of Biggie, because I'm like, damn, there's no substance in this shit at all. I didn't know how to separate my music from my real life, and Biggie was putting me down a real dark road. Just that music, I was like, I got to get away from. Pac had you on a different level. Pac had you on a different way of thinking. But the popular shit out here is that ignorant, raw, real shit. That's the stuff that we kind of resonate with. So do we give big criticism for that?
No.
Or do we gotta?
I say no, because it's like, in one breath, somebody can look at it like, well, Big was real. He was just talking about what he did coming up in the streets of Brooklyn and what he experienced. A lot of people's criticism of Pac is like, he didn't really live that life, what he was talking about at a certain point. They said, they bring up, his start and whatnot and all of that. So I wouldn't take a shot at Biggie for that, because a lot of rappers do that. So it's like, are you hot or cold? Are you a conscious rapper? Or are you the gangster rapper? Biggie was just a gangster rapper. I think you can just, it is what it is. He never tried to be something he wasn't. That's what I'm trying to say.
And to your point, man, you brought up a great point. It would be so crazy to see him alive right now and see his evolution, because eventually it would have went from the street and evolved into something.
Definitely.
And his repertoire and the way that he rhymed was better than anybody at the time. And like people said in the chat room, like you said, it stood the test of time. So all we have is a very, very small catalog to work with Biggie Smalls. He died when he's 25. Yeah. So he didn't even get to grow, learn, really pay taxes. Like, this brother had a story to tell, how we see a lot of these great rappers shit. We see Meek evolve and go through things that he went through, and seeing how great that he's evolving. We've seen how Jay-Z in that same era evolved. We've seen how Nas evolved. So it was unfair that we didn't really get to see Biggie evolve like that. And unfortunately, he's put under a box where now, I mean, his lyrics and his storytelling are second to none, but he's also not in that conscious box where he could have went there and could have possibly. I mean, Sky Was the Limit was dope. Yeah, he was almost going there. Juicy was dope. He was going there. He was just telling stories.
Yeah. I think Biggie would have probably took, the route of Jay-Z, as far as the business kind of evolving, and just becoming a better person. I mean, these guys were young. Imagine how they John Doe's correcting us, Pac 25, Big 24 in the chat room. But it's just like, with that being said, imagine yourself at 24, 25 years old, and even to now, how much you evolved and what you talked about. So they were young men. They had to go through that process. So I don't think that we can, really criticize them like that, either one of them, for what they were as young men.
If we had this podcast when we were 24, 25, oh, how it'd be so fucking different.
Right.
Talking about how we talked. And I would hate for people. And it goes to how unfortunate it is how we could pull out people's past. Like we've seen Kevin Hart's past could pull up in other people's, because people are allowed to grow. And I can only imagine some of the shit we would have said 10, 15 years, not 10, man, we ain't that old. A couple years ago, back when we were 24, and to where we are now, it's like, man, don't judge us on what we were thinking and talking about back then. That's not cool to where we are right now. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, man. But who would you say is, the best though? I mean, I know this conversation is currently, had, but and not just lyrically, but just like, because when T.I. was bringing up this, he wanted to put himself as the top guy, So who would you say right now, conscious wise, business wise, lyrics wise, consistency, accolades wise, is the best right now in the game? Right now, hands down, Kendrick, Jay, all of them, throw them in there.
Kendrick. I'm listening to Kendrick shit now, and I'm just like, man, this dude is masterful. Yeah, he is, and people can kind of, because we love that raw, that real, that bump music, and the Pimp a Butterfly was a little different. Damn was a little against the grain. Some of his music, you can kind of go, man, what the fuck is this shit? But when you really dive into it, or when you can go back to it, like you were talking about going back and really listening to Meek's album, I was going back to listen to Section 80, High Power, and it's like you can really appreciate what these brothers are delivering. And there's some bars going on, and when you really listen and dive in, and you can understand the genius. And then you look at how he took care of his business on the music side. And he's not caught up under indie wild contracts where he's obligated to do this or do that. He goes on his accord. He's not obligated to do any wild interviews. You don't have to see him on Instagram going for clout. Very quiet, very mysterious, kind of like another one of the greatest of all time right now with Jay-Z. I think Jay-Z gave him his stamp of approval when it comes to lyrics. That dude, he's on another level. So I got to put Kendrick out there, man. I definitely do, as today. When it stands, I can't wait for some more music to come out.
I'll agree. I'll definitely have to. I mean, maybe lyrically, yeah, definitely. I think Kendrick's the best, out right now. Not to take anything away from anybody else.
What y'all think of the chat room? I seen somebody say T.I.'s my fave, Tupac my fave all time. Biggie people could listen to. Big people felt Pac. Agreed. Trying to see if anybody thinks. Who do y'all think is the best out here right now? I see Jay and Kendrick, Hove, Cole. I agree with you on J. Cole. I couldn't agree with you more when it comes to Cole as well. He's a little more out there than Kendrick, but it's working for him because he's still genuine.
Right.
Dave East still got some time to me. He's a crazy lyricist, and we talk about him often now since we got slack for not giving him any respect.
What about Nas?
But what about him?
Somebody say can't forget Nas.
Never forget Nas.
He's doing a lot, on business as well too. A lot of people not talking about that. And lyrically, I just don't think he's the best right now. That's all. I think got to give it to Kendrick.
Not now. I mean, a lot of people didn't like the Nas album with what's my name, Kanye. They weren't feeling that. Even though I liked it, I enjoyed it. My son loved it.
Right.
It got him introduced to some of the old Nas, hearing some of the new Nas. It was like, okay, who's this guy? And it was dope. But a lot of people got slack for that, or Nas got slack for that. And then he was supposedly had an album out with Swiss coming. And people were looking forward to that, but that didn't come out. But Nas can still work, man.
Somebody saying Rick Ross. I mean, Rick, I think underrated. We had a whole conversation about that, about Rick Ross being definitely underrated, definitely. But I wouldn't put him up there as one of the top ones. No disrespect to Rose, because he's in my title playlist. He's one of the top guys I listen to.
He got a memoir coming out. He got a book coming out where he's going to address the whole Officer Ricky shit. He's going to talk about his time behind the correction officer. He's going to talk about his time in rap. We talked about this one time on the podcast, and we asked, was he underrated? And a lot of people were saying, yeah, and a lot of people put on the Officer Ricky shit. Do you think him addressing this finally and just coming all the way out open will kind of stamp his legacy? Because the last 10 years, man, Rick Ross it's been a lot. It's hard pressed to see anybody who's put in more work lyrically than Rick Ross.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it's like with him, he obviously talked about it, before. I guess he wants to officially, everybody wants that book where they can really go in depth, about it. But a lot of people were just up in arms, because he was on the other side of the law. But then he lied about it, was kind of caught in a lie. Then he came out and kind of said that he was. So it's so old at this point. And it's like, all right, you was a correctional officer. Okay. You had to, the way he said he had to do a job, he would have been doing anything else. He had to do this to make money. He got out and did what he did. So, I mean, I think it's let bygones be bygones with that, people, and move on. He was a young man. He's getting older now. He's a businessman now. He got children, family, and all that. Get over that shit, man. He was a police, but it is what it is.
Indeed, man. I hear you. Top youngin, oh God, I seen Adversity Entertainment. Who's the top youngins in the game right now? I want to throw that out there for the people too, if y'all listening. And let's put a number on top youngins. Let's put 17 to 21, 22.